Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage, on a beautiful Tuesday. I can't believe that I just spent, call it 4 hours outside, almost too warm to work. I got a t-shirt and a sweatshirt on and I was getting pretty warm because woke up this morning, looked at the weather report, mid-50s and sunny. So instead of my regularly scheduled day, I was going to come out in the shop and start measuring on the 496 big block Chevy for the 47 Ford project. But as the expression goes, you got to make hay while the sun shines, and it seemed like the perfect day to hook onto the trailer, bring it up near the door, unload the cab, unload everything out of the cab, found a few treasures, and take a few things in the shop. I had 3 complete 9-inch Fords that I built, put those in the trailer and a bunch of wheels and tires, free up a little space in here. It had gotten pretty crowded, and now I'm in a better position to start working on the cab. As you can see by the opening video sequence, I also dug out the wheels and tires that I'll use for street driving anyway. I wish they were a little bit taller. They're Hoosier Pro Street tires. Never heard of them, never looked them up. They're listed as 29, 18, 5, 15. The 29's a stretch, about 28 and a half tall. They're mounted on a 15 by 15 Centerline Conva Pro, which apparently is my destiny to have because the 55 came with them too. They're a pretty popular wheel until you have to clean them. They got all the ridges in them. But anyway, those are also brand new. The tires still have stickers on them. Brand new a long time ago. The dates on them, if I read it correctly, like 2007. But they've always been inside. They're not cracked or anything. For street driving, they'll be fine until they're not, and then we'll worry about it. I have other choices, but for now, at least for rolling around, that's what they have. And I've been worried about the sway bar and the inside of the frame clearance. As I remember it now, and I believe I still have the original wheels and tires when this chassis was a roller, they were 7-inch backspace and still had room to clear. These wheels are, again, 15 by 15, 5-inch backspace, and you can see how much room I have. Not a concern. So going this way, also not a concern. The more clownish it looks, well, I don't like clowns, but let's call Hot Wheel type stuff, I'm good with that. Again, I'm trying to build something uniquely my own. I don't want to just bolt a bunch of junk on an S10 frame. No offense if you do that, but that looks cool if you're full fended. I'm not a fan of the S10 frame when you can see all the front suspension, but I'm not here. You're not here to listen to my opinion on what I like and dislike. We're here to talk about, obviously, what I like, or at least what I have to use. This cab came to me just like you see it. This is the second time I've owned it, at least. Like my theme of this whole project is I'm no longer gonna sell it off. I'm putting it together and enjoy it in some fashion. The cab was chopped right here in my hometown by a well-known older fella, still doing hot rod stuff. It never was finished. It, as you see it, some areas are more finished than others. A lot of it still needs to be welded. When I emptied out the inside a few moments ago, probably while they were planning the chop, somebody bought a whole nother front half of a roof and some pillars. Never got used. I like how they saved the rear window as stock. It has a small back window. Instead of making it smaller, they cut out around the back window and just lowered the sheet metal, left the window alone. So if I happen to have a 47 Ford rear window, it ought to fit, because that's the only window that's stock. It has door windows, and I found a door crank, and they probably with a little lube, they're gonna go up and down. So that only leaves me with a front windshield to figure out. Obviously it's shorter, but it's pretty flat. I may or may not do Lexan, so we'll wait and see on that. I can't imagine heading out into the Colorado night in a snowstorm driving this monster. I have the VIN tag such that it is. It's listed as an F1 Model 800. There's a tag on the dash that said it had a 2-speed axle. It was a heavy truck, or as heavy as they came back then. I believe the payload was 4,500 pounds. Hey, it's something. I've never even emptied it out. Today's the first day I took everything out. Again, I found a few treasures. I found like 4.5 wiper arms. Now there's only one wiper motor per se, only one wiper on the truck, which is fine with me. I technically, by law, have to have a wiper, and I was hoping it was hand crank powered, but I can see that it's vacuum. There's a little knob on the dash. We'll do a tour. That seems to be on and off. I don't think it has 2 speeds even, but if the vacuum motor works at all, or I can fix it, my problems are solved. I have a wiper, so that's cool. Got some giant old wiring. I'm sure it was 6 volt. The firewall itself is ugly and broken, and it just needs to go. It has the cutest little heater. I'm sure it's 6 volt as well. No joke, the thing's about this big around. It has heater lines running to it with the factory original clamps, and I got one wire sticking out of it, so I guess I could consider leaving it. I don't think a heater is high on my priority list, but we'll see. But again, this whole thing needs to come out. The whole front of this cab, I don't mind the top part. This, where it squares off from a hot rod perspective, is pretty ugly. I don't need any of that, so I'm going to cut most of the firewall and all of the floors out, which is a shame because the floors are nearly perfect. I'll show you. The whole cab is, I mean, the doors, everything is really nice. So my buddy really coveted this thing. In a weak moment one day, he wanted to sell or trade it to me. And then I gave it back, and now here it is. So she's not leaving again. The cab was half-heartedly braced while they were chopping it. I'll leave it for now. Be honest with you, with the doors mounted and they function right now, I'm not too worried about getting it back that way. I once cut a 70 Chevelle SS 454 apart, let it sit just the outer skin out in the driveway in the wintertime, and watched it get squished, and I managed to put it all back where it belongs. So in my discovery this morning, I did find one door handle. They're square. Shouldn't be hard to find another one. I looked in the box 3 or 4 times and did not find anything. I found 2 window cranks that still work. Again, I think the window itself wants to work. I don't want to break it, but she's nudging anyway, so. And this works, so. Get her lubed up, fixed up. I mean, look at this thing, is fantastic. Floors as well. The riser's gonna go, the floor's gonna go. Most of the firewall, it'll be replaced with, race car stuff. So, the damage is done on the cab. Don't shed a tear for it, because it's already half hot rodded. Might as well finish it. That knob on the dash is a vacuum switch, from what I can decipher. It has a nice little piece of linkage, goes over to the vacuum motor. I'll have to research all that. The tag in the center of the dash tells you how to operate the 2-speed axle. I love that the dash is pretty much complete. There's just 2 rectangle openings that I can fill with gauges and whatnot, or maybe put a glove box over there, just gauges over here, depending what I use for fuel system, whether it be just a Holley dash or it's going to be mechanical gauges or both. It's actually pretty roomy. I'm going to try to, again, not make it feel claustrophobic. That's why I'm going to, an 8.5 second 850 cert, chassis cert, is all it's going to get. I'm not going to do a funny car cage, and I am going to do more floor bracing just because, like I mentioned, it's there to protect me, and should I ever change my mind, it'll already be there. But I mean, 850 of the quarter mile is 160 plus miles an hour. That's good enough for this thing. So I've been faster. Don't need to probably do it again, but I might. You never know. And yeah, I want to lift it by the roof. That's why I put it under the gantry crane. But before I do that, I'm gonna just go ahead and start welding up everything. Also from the same guy I got the cab from in another trade ordeal, I got a 110 Lincoln welder, SP175, I think. It actually works pretty good, but it has 30 thousandths wire. My big MIG, I can do the same thing, 35 thousandths wire, and it does a good job on small stuff like this. But when I got the small Lincoln, I figured, hey, it might be perfect for this. So we'll give it a try anyway. And I don't want to get too fancy with it, but if you're gonna weld it up and grind it down, you might as well make it as smooth as possible. And just, I love this color anyway. Spray some of this, I don't know if it's primer or was it a military truck. I don't know. I wish I knew, but I don't. Here's the back window. Still its original size. They just cut out around it. This half of the roof is uglier. They made these big slashes that don't appear on the other side. You can see it's a long way from finished, but all in all, could be worse. And I didn't have to do it because I've never chopped a roof. Not sure I even want to. And finally, this is one of the potential grill options. It says 36 Ford truck, $225. It would need to trim some of the ugly off the bottom. Obviously needs a little work, or maybe it's beautiful the way it is, I'm not sure. Nah, I'd probably have to do something with it. Make something for the radiator filler, because I don't think my radiator is going to line up there, but you never know. It is considerably larger than my first choice, which is a 32 Ford grill, which plentiful, not that much money, and really good looking. Clean up the firewall, a 32 Ford grill, that might be the ticket, especially if I can incorporate maybe some Model A fenders and running boards and rear fenders. We'll see, just spitballing here, but this is one of the potential ones. I was online looking at, this style cab. I found a hot rodded one, pretty cool, had the 32 Ford grill, but it did not have a suicide axle, so, the grill hid more of the front axle, so I don't know how that's going to all work out. I have a few radiators that are probably too wide for a 32 Ford grill. Might fit this, might be a concern, so this is more unique, I suppose. You don't probably see them as often. I could fix her up. It's only got a few broken pieces. Straighten out a few teeth there, and it might be all right. So that is the raw material, the basic plan. Putting a bunch of unfinished projects that were never intended together, making something out of it, and that's hot rodding, I believe. Enjoy your afternoon. Talk to you soon.